The champagne cork hit the vaulted ceiling of what used to be our living room. 3:47 p.m. Saturday. Jake's laughter echoed off bare walls as Madison squealed, her Victoria's Secret model frame draped across the last remaining piece of furniture, a leather sectional I'd always hated. To new beginnings. Jake's Rolex caught the light as he raised his glass. To finally having a woman who appreciates what I've built. Madison's smile was all teeth and venom. She looked at me, standing in the doorway with my worn duffel bag. You should really take that discount luggage with you, Claire. It clashes with the restoration hardware aesthetic. I said nothing. My Target jeans had a stain on the knee. My Northwestern sweatshirt, 15 years old, had a hole near the hem. But let me take you back. 72 hours earlier. That's when Jake handed me the papers. 72 hours earlier, the Starbucks on Oak Street smelled like burnt espresso and artificial vanilla. 6:32 p.m. Wednesday evening. Jake had texted, "Meet me. We need to talk." He arrived 20 minutes late, Madison attached to his arm like expensive jewelry. She wore head-to-toe Gucci. I wore clearance rack loft. Claire. Jake didn't sit. I'm done pretending. Madison and I are in love. She's moving into the house this weekend. You need to be out by Saturday. The other customers tried not to stare. Failed. The house, I repeated softly. My house. That I paid for. That I deserve after building my company from nothing. He dropped a manila folder on the table. Divorce papers. My lawyer says you get nothing. Illinois is an equitable distribution state, and you didn't contribute financially to the marriage. No job, no income, no assets. Madison leaned down, her perfume cloying. It's actually kind of sad. 10 years married to a millionaire, and you're leaving with less than you came with. Her laugh was like breaking crystal. At least you'll have experience being poor. Very authentic. I'm keeping the house, the cars, the boat, everything. Jake continued. You can take your clothes and that embarrassing Honda Civic. Be grateful I'm not charging you rent for the last decade. My hands rested flat on the table. No trembling. Not yet. Sign the papers by Friday. Saturday, Madison moves in. Sunday, we're having a party. Everyone from the firm, all our friends. Well, my friends. He smirked. Time to celebrate the upgrade. Madison giggled. Actually giggled. I picked up the folder. Can I ask one question? Make it quick. We have reservations at Alinea. The house on Lakeshore Drive. You said you paid for it. Obviously. With money from Sterling and Associates. The firm I built. His jaw tightened. What's your point? No point. I stood, folder in hand. I'll be out by Saturday. Smart choice. Jake turned away, dismissing me like an incompetent paralegal. I walked to my Honda, a 2015 model with a dent in the bumper. Sat in the driver's seat. Pulled out my phone. Pulled my brother. Thomas? It's time. Friday morning the moving trucks arrived at 6 a.m. Jake was at the gym, his Friday routine, sacred and predictable. Madison was at her Pilates class in Lincoln Park. I'd given the movers very specific instructions. Everything. The restoration hardware sectional. The Eames chairs. The Sub-Zero refrigerator. The Wolf range. The Baccarat crystal. The fret linens. The Cartel lighting fixtures. The B&B Italia dining set. The custom window treatments. Every piece of art. Every rug. Every decorative object. The movers worked fast. Professional. By noon, the house was empty except for the built-ins. I stood in the hollow living room, my footsteps echoing on the Brazilian cherry hardwood. Pulled out my phone. Took a photo. Texted it to my attorney. Done. Her response came immediately. Beautiful. The storage unit is ready. See you Monday for the real fun. I left my keys on the kitchen counter, the marble Calicut countertop Jake loved to brag about. Walked to my Honda. Drove to my real apartment in River North. The penthouse I'd owned since before I met Jake, the one in my name. My real name. Claire Hendricks was leaving, but Claire Chimathison had work to do. Saturday, 3:47 p.m., which brings us back to now. To Jake and Madison, champagne in hand, celebrating in an empty house. Where's the furniture? Madison's voice pitched upward. Jake, where is everything? He spun in a slow circle. His face went from confused to pale to crimson. Claire, what did you do? I took my things. I adjusted my duffel bag. Like you said. Your things? Your things. He advanced on me. That was $70,000 of furniture. The art collection alone was worth. I know what it was worth. I bought most of it. I pulled a paper from my pocket, unfolded it slowly. See, funny thing, when I moved in 10 years ago, you were broke, buried in law school debt, living in a studio apartment in Wicker Park with IKEA furniture and a mattress on the floor. Madison's perfectly microbladed eyebrows drew together. That's not. Jake said he built his firm. He did. With my money. I handed him the paper. That's the contract we signed. October 15th, 2014. I provided $850,000 in startup capital for Sterling and Associates. In exchange, I own 60% of the company. The color drained from his face. The house. I bought it. Title's in my name. Well, my trust's name. You never looked at the closing documents, did you? Just signed where I told you to sign. I smiled. It felt like putting on armor. The furniture, the art, the cars in the garage, all purchased with my money, all titled to me. No. The word came out strangled. That's not possible. You don't have money. You were a what, Jake? I stepped closer. What was I? Madison's champagne glass slipped from her hand. It shattered on the hardwood. The fluoride had installed, paid for, chosen. The sound echoed in the empty room. You're lying. Jake's voice shook. This is some kind of fraud. You can't what? Take my own property. I pulled out my phone. Should I call my attorney? She's very good. Harvard Law. She'd be happy to explain how marital property works in Illinois when one spouse owns everything outright. His phone buzzed. Once. Twice. 10 times in rapid succession. You might want to check that, I said softly. Jake's hands trembled as he looked at the screen. His face went from red to ashen. What? Madison grabbed his arm. What is it? The firm. He could barely speak. Claire just executed her majority shareholder rights. There's an emergency partners meeting Monday at 9 a.m. He looked up at me. You can't do this. I can. I am. I moved toward the door. Oh, and Jake? The boat. Also mine. I had it moved to a marina in Michigan this morning. The BMW and the Mercedes? Picked up an hour ago. Even that Rolex you're wearing, check the inscription. He ripped it off his wrist. Turned it over. His face crumbled. To my husband. May time always be on your side. CCM, he whispered. Not Claire Sterling. Claire Chin Matheson. My real name. The one I never legally changed because my attorney, the one who handled the prenup you never read, advised against it. Madison backed away from Jake like he'd caught fire. You told me you were a millionaire. You told me. He is a millionaire. Technically. I paused in the doorway. He makes about $280,000 a year as a junior partner at Sterling and Associates. Not bad. Upper middle class. But the firm's profits? The real money? That goes to the majority shareholder. I smiled. Me. It always has. The party, Madison breathed. Tomorrow. Everyone's coming. The other partners, the clients. Oh, don't cancel on my account. I adjusted my duffel bag. I'll be there. I'm announcing some major changes to the firm. I think Sunday afternoon is the perfect time. Jake found his voice. You can't humiliate me like this. In front of everyone. Claire, please. We can work this out. I made a mistake. Madison means nothing. Hey. Madison's shriek was pure outrage. I loved you. Jake continued, ignoring her. I still love you. This is just, I don't know, a midlife crisis or something. We can fix this. Go to counseling. Start over. I looked at him. Really looked. The man I'd met at Northwestern, brilliant and broke and burning with ambition. The man I'd believed in enough to fund his dreams. The man who'd slowly convinced himself that his success was his alone. You don't love me, Jake. You love what I gave you. There's a difference. That's not true. Claire. Baby. Come on. He moved toward me. 10 years. That has to mean something. It does. It means I spent 10 years watching you become someone I don't recognize. I stepped back. The papers you gave me Wednesday? I had my attorney look at them. They're useless. You can't divorce away assets you never owned. And the prenup we signed? It's ironclad. What prenup? We never. His face changed. That stack of papers before the wedding. You said it was insurance documents. I said they were important documents you needed to sign. You assumed they were insurance. I shrugged. That's on you. My attorney says assumptions aren't admissible in court. Madison's voice rose to a screech. So he gets nothing? After 10 years of marriage. Oh, he gets something. Illinois law is very clear. As the lower earning spouse, Jake is entitled to temporary maintenance based on the standard of living established during the marriage. I pulled out another paper. My attorney calculated it. Based on his actual salary versus the household expenses, he's entitled to approximately $4,000 a month for 5 years. Before taxes, the number hung in the air. 4,000. Jake's voice was hollow. That won't even cover the mortgage on this house. No, it won't. Good thing the house is mine. I checked my watch, a Patek Philippe that had been my grandmother's. You have until Sunday at noon to remove any personal belongings. After that, I'm changing the locks. Where am I supposed to go? His voice cracked. I don't know, Jake. Where do people go when they leave their homes? I met his eyes. Maybe you could rent a studio apartment in Wicker Park. Buy some IKEA furniture. Start over with a mattress on the floor. Madison grabbed her Hermes bag. I'm leaving. This is insane. You're both insane. Wait. Jake grabbed her arm. Madison, we can figure this out. I still have my salary. We can get a nice apartment, somewhere in Lincoln Park, on $4,000 a month. She jerked away. I spend that on skincare. You told me you were rich. You told me you owned a firm, a house on Lakeshore, a boat. I thought I did. I thought. He turned to me, desperate. Claire, you let me believe. I let you believe nothing. I told you the truth 10 years ago. You chose not to listen. I moved toward the door. You were so busy talking about your vision, your firm, your future that you never asked about my background. My family. My money. Your family. His voice went very quiet. Matheson. Jesus. You're from the Matheson family? The real estate Mathesons. My mother's side, yes. And the Chun venture capital family on my father's. I'm their only child. I smiled. I interned at my mother's firm every summer through college. Learned commercial real estate inside and out. When you needed startup capital, I convinced them you were worth the investment. They must think he couldn't finish. A joke? An embarrassment? A cautionary tale? I shrugged. They think you're a mediocre attorney with decent instincts who got very lucky and then very stupid. My father's exact words were, the boy mistook your generosity for his genius. Madison was at the door now, phone out, probably calling an Uber. I can't believe I wasted 3 months on you. 3 months. Jake's voice rose. You said you loved me. You said, I loved your house, your boat, your money. She sneered. Which apparently wasn't even yours. God, you're pathetic. She left. Her Louboutin heels clicked on the driveway. A car door slammed. Engine noise faded. Jake and I stood in the empty house. Sun slanted through bare windows, throwing shadows on floors I'd chosen, walls I'd painted, a life I'd built. The party tomorrow, he said finally. Are you really going to humiliate me in front of everyone? No, Jake. I'm going to tell the truth. I headed for the door. You humiliated yourself. The partners' meeting room at Sterling & Associates occupied the entire 19th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Michigan Avenue. Conference table that seated 24. Coffee service from Intelligentsia, catering from Avec. I'd approved every detail when we designed this space 5 years ago. At 2 p.m. Sunday, the room was packed. 15 partners. Key associates. Major clients. All the people Jake had invited to celebrate his upgrade. I arrived at 1:58 p.m. Not in my Target jeans, an old sweatshirt. In an Armani suit. Hermes bag. The Patek Philippe. Hair professionally styled. Every inch the woman I actually was. The room went silent. Jake stood at the head of the table, Madison less. His suit was wrinkled. He looked like he hadn't slept. Probably hadn't. Claire. His voice cracked. You don't have to. Good afternoon, everyone. I took my seat, not next to Jake, but at the opposite end of the table. The chairman's position. Thank you for coming on short notice. I'm Claire Matheson, majority shareholder and acting CEO of Sterling & Associates. Whispers rippled through the room. David Sterling, the senior partner, Jake's mentor, leaned forward. Ms. Matheson, we weren't aware that I existed? I know. That was intentional. I opened my laptop. For the past 10 years, I've been what you might call a silent partner. I provided the capital. Jake provided the expertise. The firm succeeded beyond our initial projections. So why come forward now? David's eyes were sharp. He built his career on reading people. Because the firm's reputation is at risk. I pulled up a slide. Over the past 18 months, Jake has made several decisions that concern me. Hiring based on personal relationships rather than qualifications. billing irregularities, expense reports that violate our ethics policies. Jake's face went crimson. That's not. Those were approved by you as managing partner, but not by me as majority shareholder. I clicked to the next slide. Madison Shun, no relation to me, despite the surname, was hired 6 months ago as a senior marketing consultant at $180,000 annually. Her qualifications? An Instagram following and a relationship with you. Gasks. Actual gasks. Her contract, signed by Jake without board approval, violates our nepotism policies. I'm terminating it effective immediately. I looked at Jake, along with several other questionable contracts you approved. David Sterling's expression shifted. How much are we talking about? In total? Approximately $1.2 million in questionable expenses over 18 months. Not enough to sink the firm, but enough to damage our reputation if it came to light during an audit. Jesus, Jake. David's voice was hard. Were you trying to get us disbarred? I didn't. It wasn't like that. Jake's hands shook. Player, please. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything except protecting an investment. I clicked to the next slide. Here's my proposal. I'm assuming the role of CEO. Jake remains as managing partner, but all major decisions require my approval. The questionable contracts are terminated. We conduct a full audit and implement new oversight procedures. Silence. Then David nodded. I support this motion. The other partners followed, one by one, until it was unanimous. Jake stood there, stripped of power in front of everyone who'd envied him. There's one more thing, I said quietly. Jake and I are divorcing. I want to be transparent about that. It won't affect the firm's operations. I've always been the majority shareholder, and I'll continue to be. But I won't have personal conflicts impacting professional decisions anymore. After the meeting, people approached me, introduced themselves as if we'd never met, and we hadn't, not really. I'd been Jake's quiet wife at firm events, standing in corners, invisible in my discount clothes. Now they saw me. David Sterling pulled me aside. I should have known. Jake's good, but he's not built a firm from nothing good. You bankrolled this whole operation. We built it together. I provided capital and strategic oversight. He provided legal expertise and client relationships. It worked. I met his eyes. Until he forgot we were partners. Will you keep him on? For now? He's talented when he's not distracted by trophy girlfriends. But David, I need you to mentor him properly this time. Help him understand that success isn't about the shine, it's about substance. David smiled. I can do that. 6 months later, the firm had transformed. New oversight, transparent billing, merit-based hiring. We'd lost 2 partners who couldn't adapt, but we'd gained 4 brilliant attorneys who appreciated the culture shift. Jake showed up, did his work, went home to a studio apartment in Wicker Park. We barely spoke. Professional emails only. The divorce finalized in April. He got his $4,000 a month. I got everything else, but I'd always had it anyway. I was in my office, the real CEO suite on 20, when my assistant buzzed. Miss Jim Matheson? There's a Jake Sterling here to see you. I paused. Send him in. He looked different. Thinner. Older. But clearer somehow. Like he'd been sanded down to something essential. I'm not here to beg, he said. Or ask for anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I set down my pen. Okay. I convinced myself I'd earned everything. That I was special. That you were lucky to be married to me. He laughed bitterly. I was so stupid. Yes, I said simply. I treated you like you were nothing. Like your only value was making me look good. And you just let me. I let you show me who you were. That was valuable information. He nodded. I'm working with David now. Relearning how to be a decent attorney instead of a show-off. It's humbling. Good. Humility suits you better than arrogance. He turned to leave. Paused at the door. For what it's worth, you were always the smartest person in any room. I just couldn't see it. After he left, I sat with that. The apology I'd never asked for. The acknowledgement I didn't need. I pulled out my phone. Texted my mother. Firm's quarterly earnings are up 23%. Want to grab dinner? Her response, so proud of you. Tell me everything. That evening, I walked home to my River North penthouse. Changed into comfortable clothes. Expensive now, because I could be, but chosen for comfort rather than display. Looked out at the city lights. I'd spent 10 years being invisible. Playing small. Letting Jake shine while I managed the real power from the shadows. Some people might call that weak. But I'd learned something powerful. Silence isn't the same as submission. And the quietest person in the room is sometimes the most dangerous. Jake had celebrated getting rid of me. Champagne in an empty house. Victory declared too soon. He'd learned an expensive lesson. Never mistake generosity for weakness. I'd learned something too. I didn't need anyone to see my worth. I just needed to see it myself. The revenge wasn't in taking everything away. It was in revealing that I'd held it all along. And the best part? I didn't just take back what was mine. I built something better. A firm with integrity. A life with purpose. A future I design on my own terms. Jake got his fresh start in a studio apartment with a humbled ego, rebuilding from zero. I got mine too. The freedom to finally be seen as I truly was. Not as someone's wife. Not as someone's accessory. Just as Claire. CEO. Investor. The woman who'd been powerful all along. The woman who'd simply been waiting for the right moment to stop pretending otherwise.